last night defended the Nets' hiring of Steve Nash after what Barkley viewed as unfair criticism. Take a listen.
I was very disappointed at some of the guys on television today talking about white privilege. Very disappointed. They're like, well, this doesn't happen to black guys. And I'm like, well, it happened to Doc Rivers. It happened to Jason Kidd. It happened to Derek Fisher. So I was really disappointed. I just think when you have a responsibility, especially when you have to talk about something serious like race, you can't be full of crap. You got to be honest and fair. So listen, like I say, Steve Nash is a great player and a good dude, but I was so disappointed on these guys. I said, dude, black guys have done this before.
All right, Shannon, after listening to this, do you agree with Charles?
Skip, it doesn't happen often, but I do agree with Charles in this situation. Skip, and I've did some research on this. Skip, did you know 70 to 80% of the jobs that get filled are never listed, advertised publicly?
Jobs anywhere?
Anywhere.
Like in the world?
In the world.
Okay. I did not know that.
75% of those jobs are filled by how, Skip? Networking. I know Skip. Skip knows somebody. Jenny say, hey, they hired over at Fox. You ought to put an interview in. So guess what happened? Steve Nash, Sean Marks, Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
You see how that works, Skip?
I mean, Sean Marks played with Steve Nash
in Phoenix.
And Steve Nash sort of mentored
Kevin Durant for a couple of years in Golden State.
Yep.
Mike D'Antoni, like myself, hell, I didn't know Steve Nash wanted to be a coach.
But I didn't either.
Skip, let's just say for the sake of argument, it was his complexion that helped him get that job. Well, are you going to hold Kevin Durant and Kyrie culpable? Because they signed off on it. They could have said, no, we want Ty Lue. No, we want Sam Cassell. No, we want Mark Jackson. And what would Sean Marks have done, Skip? He'd have hired Ty Lue, he'd have hired Sam Cassell, or he would have hired Mark Jackson. I just believe in this situation, and Charles laid it out right. Derek Fisher had no coaching experience and got a job. Isaiah Thomas had no coaching experience and got a job. Now, I will say this. Now, for the most part, if you get fired, you normally have to take an assistant job, work your way back up to become a head coach.
Jason Kidd.
Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni get fired, Skip, what'd he do? Go get a head coaching job. He get fired again, what'd he do, Skip? Go get another head coaching job. And that's normally what Mike Woodson. He was a head coach, what he got to do? Working with Doc. So now I think he might be going back to, actually he back at the Knicks with Tibbs. So for me, Skip, yeah, and I agree with you. We got to be careful, just because we don't want to dilute what that is. And sometimes when we throw it out there, and I know everybody's disappointed because Steve Nash, you're like, damn, I didn't even know he wanted to be a coach. He wanted to be a coach, and next thing you know, he got a premier job with two premier players. So I'm going to agree with Chuck on this one, although we don't agree philosophically. We're far apart on a lot of different things.
I got it.
But on this one, Skip, I'm going to agree with Charles.
Okay, so Doc Rivers got a head coaching job with no coaching experience.
No.
Jason Kidd, same. Derek Fisher,
Same.
Okay, just for the
Isaiah
record.
Thomas, same.
Okay, got it. I defer to you on all these types of issues, so I appreciate what you're saying. All I know, my 2 cents from a distance is, obviously, you have to be careful in these situations that you don't dilute the message of what you, when you have an issue with something that really counts and really matters. You don't want to dilute your message by taking a stand on something that's not quite on point or worth it. Right?
Correct.
So I don't know what transpired to set off Charles. I did not hear the commentary, maybe you did, of others. I know it was mentioned that my friend Stephen A. Smith was one of them. I did not hear exactly what Stephen A. said about this, but I know him very well. And I have the greatest respect for him when it comes to his stances on racial injustice. And if, in fact, he had an issue with this, I know it came from a strong, good place. So I'm not taking any issue with Stephen A. for a fact over this. But in this case, I just know, what was the old expression? It's almost like an old school expression about playing the race card. You know and I know that the race card can be played right now in this country 1,000 different ways, and it works. It matters, it counts. But but obviously you have to be on firm footing when you play it, or you will dilute it to where white people will say the next time, well, you said it about that.
You said about this.
You say it about everything?
Right, correct.
Well, say it about white cops and black people. You got it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So in this case, in the end, my issue was, I thought Ty Lue was made for this job. I don't care what color Ty Lue is.
Right.
I just know he's made for this job.
Right.
He is overqualified for this job. But to your point, I know who runs the show there. Those two young men do.
Yes.
And if they said Steve Nash, they're going to hire Steve Nash.
Because they didn't even have to. Skip, when you get guys of that magnitude and you don't have to recruit them, they call you up and says, hey, I'm signing with you. Kevin Durant calls me up and say, I'm signing. No visit, Skip, no visit, no talking to anybody, no nothing. I'm signing with you.
He said, well, Kyrie said to go there. I'm going to go there.
So,
okay.
So they have they carry a lot of weight. Now, it's being also reported that Ty Lue is close to signing with the Sixers. So we'll see.
Okay, good. Good for the Sixers.
That's very good, Skip. But I agree. Now, Jock Vaughn, he got demoted. I thought he did a good job.
I did too.
I wouldn't have been surprised had he got the job.
I would not
because
have
they started playing better after I forget the guy that he ended up getting fired and Jock Vaughn took over for him.
Yep.
And so I thought, but hey, they said, look, we want you to stay on. We're going to make you the highest paid assistant. Okay, hopefully he gets an opportunity to eventually be a head coach. But I've given up. I'm not giving up. I'm still, I get that Mark Jackson has been whiteballed for some of his stances on certain issues that maybe some people took offense to.
I would agree. And let's just say on some religious issues.
Yes. And some people took issues of that, Skip. But I think this had more to do with Sean Marks being familiar with Steve Nash.
Yep.
Kevin Durant signing off on this. Kyrie says, okay, I'll sign off on it also. I think that had a lot to do with it because if Kevin Durant and Kyrie wanted someone else other than Steve Nash to have this job, if they say, you know what, we want Skip Bayless to be our head coach. Skip Bayless
I volunteer.
Skip Bayless is going to be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. So for me, Skip, we got to be careful. I agree. We got to be careful because there are instances in which the privilege is abundantly clear.
You got that
but I'm not totally sure that is the case in this situation.
Okay. Kenny Atkinson was.
Kenny Atkinson.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Did he have any cool factor, any reputation, any resume? No.
Well, he had hair like Pat Riley.
I guess so. but I'm talking about resume.
No.
Okay, so what does Steve Nash have going for him? He won back-to-back MVPs.
That ain't easy to do.
It is not easy to do. And he's a cool guy.
Right.
And everybody likes him. Mm-hmm. And obviously he had the connection helping coach Kevin in Golden State. And Kyrie, by all accounts, is in awe of what Steve Nash used to do because Steve Nash, you were talking about a handle?
Yes.
Maybe it wasn't quite Kyrie's, but it's in the ballpark.
And you got to think about it, Skip. He won back-to-back finals MVP with Kobe in his prime, LeBron in his prime, T-Mac in his prime.
Just MVPs. Yeah.
I mean, back-to-back, back-to-back MVPs with those guys. Skip, Kevin Durant doesn't have back-to-back MVPs. There are only, two guys? I believe Giannis is going to get it this year, and LeBron. That's it.
Okay, so it's a cool hire.
Yeah.
It's a way outside the box hire, but it has magnitude because he's got NBA resume.
Yes.
He's got cachet about him.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
He is in the Hall of Fame, and he played at the highest level position that Kyrie plays.
Yes.
I can't argue with it, except that Ty Lue showed me he can handle superstars at the highest level. You made a great point yesterday. It's possible that Kyrie didn't love Ty while they were together in Cleveland, and maybe he viewed Ty as more LeBron's guy, and he doesn't want anything to do with looking like I needed LeBron's guy to help me win. We want to go it alone and blaze a new trail with the new guy.
And plus, this thing for me, Skip, is that Ty Lue was in with the Lakers, and he had a front row seat to see how Phil Jackson dealt with Shaq and Kobe.
He did.
I don't know if it probably won't get to that because you got two guys vying for it's my team, no, it's my team, no, it's your team, no, it's my team.
No, that's a good
So I don't believe that's going to be the situation in Brooklyn. So I thought Ty Lue would have been a great hire. But when you step back and look at it, okay, Steve Nash has credentials. He is a back-to-back MVP. He is a Hall of Famer. He led the league in assists. So it's not like they just took some guy out the boot. Now, Steve Kerr was a different animal, Skip. He was an analyst breaking down games, and he got the job at Golden State. And it's like, well, and you saw what he did in his first year. No coach has a higher win percentage or won more games through their first 4 or 5 years than Steve Kerr. So they're hoping that, well, hey, maybe we can get that with Steve Nash. We got 2 superstar players.
But remember, Steve Kerr took over a team that had been primed by Mark Jackson. They had been taught the right way to play on both ends of the floor. Mark did a sensational job of getting a young team ready to win. And Steve Kerr stepped in at the golden moment, and they were Golden State.
So that, you know what we did with Tony, like John Gruden for Tony Dungy. Tony got all those guys in there. He got them pride.
I agree. Yep.
Well, it has been almost a week since we've seen the Lakers in action. And tonight it all gets started between the Lakers and Rockets. But is it actually a matchup nightmare for LeBron? We explain after the break.